Hello everyone, welcome back. We're gonna to the second video where we're gonna continue building on our little SO setup, and in this one we're going to make the SOs for the tree that we're gonna cut down. Now I'm gonna do it in a very strange way. Well, strange. I'm gonna explain how it works for me and why I'm doing it like that. But first, I mean, the game looks pretty bland. We got a cube in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna add in a 3D object called a plane. I'm gonna make sure that it's centered, and I'm gonna scale it 10 by 10 on the X and the Z axis. Now this gives me the chance to actually take my cube and drag it up by 1, so it's above the playing field, and that's our character basically. Stay at 1. And I honestly don't like this, so maybe I should just delete the cube, and I'm gonna replace it by an empty object named the... what's it called? The character. And I'm gonna center it. So that's our character, and to this I'm gonna add the 3D object, in this case a tic tac. Now the tic tac is under the ground, so I'm gonna lift it up, and this is gonna be the character visuals. There we go. So we got a mesh renderer for it. I don't think we have one here. Nope. So we actually have to refer to this one in our scripting as well, because else if we now press play, that's not going to change, and it's gonna say nothing because we don't have a mesh renderer or anything, so we can't use that component. Plus I didn't apply the script either, so I'm gonna put the character on the character, and if I now press play, you can see it gives me a null reference, which means you're looking for the game object, but the component of mesh renderer, but our character doesn't have a mesh renderer. So in our scripting, we're going to go into our start of our character, into our start, and instead of just get component mesh renderer, we're gonna say game object dot get component, and we're gonna name it character visuals, because that's what I named it in the hierarchy, and that should fix that problem. If I now save and I go into Unity, if I press play, it says compiler error. The type of namespace could not be found. Ah yeah, because it's not a component. This has to be get child. So it's this dot transform get child, and it's child 0 because the character visuals is the 0th element, the first element that we got as a child. And of that one we're gonna get the component called mesh renderer. Now I forgot to do something else. Probably you guys did it already, but if I press play, it still gives me the null reference, which basically means that I need to go into my character and I need to give it the male SO. Now if I press play, there, we got a red circle. If I press play again, we got a blue circle, so our character is set up. I'm gonna duplicate this, or try to, and I'm gonna make 4 of him, and they should have random colors. We got a green one, we got 3 red ones, and we got a green one. We don't have any blue ones, and I don't like that. That's annoying. But okay, so that's how that works. Now the next thing, and this is a personal thingy, I'm gonna take this down. I don't like the glare that was on the object. So now it should be a lot less. If I change this, it should be even less, but okay. So we're not going to go in too deep on the coloring and everything, this is just to give you guys an idea of, that's why. This is just to give you guys an idea of, this is how you can change the colors, this is how you can do, well, a lot of stuff with your character, as in visuals. Later down the line we're gonna make a list with different models, and then we're gonna use the same kind of script. We're gonna change this one a tiny little bit, so we have 4 different characters showing up. I'm also gonna put it in that if it's a female one, there's gonna be different characters showing up. Oh, why did I press play? I shouldn't have pressed play. Okay, so, oh, we forgot to actually do the most important thing. We were gonna do a tree, but yeah, we got our character going. Now let's do a tree, and in the next video we're gonna make sure that this character can actually go to that tree. Basically we're gonna start implementing the nav mesh into the game. A tree. Okay, so in my hierarchy I'm gonna again make an empty, and I'm gonna call this tree. There we go. Very simple tree, very original as well. I'm gonna drag my character over here, and when this tree is blue I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna add in a cylinder. I'm gonna change the width of the tree, and I'm gonna make the height 2 while I'm dragging it out a little bit. And this is basically the visual representation of the tree. If I really want to, just to make it even more visible, I can say, where's the sphere? Here's the sphere. I can drag in a sphere, and I can say 1.5. I can say scale 8 by 8 and 1.5, and there we go. We have a very basic tree. I can go into the material, I can make a material for it real fast, saying we already have a test mat. I'll just make 2 more materials. Tree leaves. The tree leaves. I know I named that wrong, but tree leaves and tree trunk. Where is it? Material, tree trunk. Come on. Tree trunk, and I'm gonna put that on the trunk. I'm gonna change the colors. The trunk is a little bit more brownish. There. And the tree leaves are gonna be green. I'm gonna go for a darker tone of green. There we go. So we got our tree. When we press play, we got a tree and a character. Character is not in the screen, in the view, but that's okay. There we go. Now he is. The next thing, because we want to have an SO for that, we go back to Scriptable Objects. Next to character, we're gonna make a new folder, and I'm gonna call this resource holder. Why am I calling this resource holder? Because the tree is not really a resource. It's the wood of the tree that is gonna be a resource. The rock that you cut is not a resource, but it holds the resource of stone and maybe metal or flint or whatever. It's gonna hold that resource. That's why I'm saying resource holder. Now in this, I'm gonna create a C# script called SO resource holder, and next to that a script just saying resource holder. Like I explained in the previous video, in the first video, I like it to be clean, so I want to know which one is my SO and which one is in correlation to that SO. So the resource holder I can put on the tree, and the SO resource I'm gonna open, followed by the other one. So they're both open, and I can use both of them. Again, I'm gonna delete all the start and everything. The same for the SO. And I'm first going to go to my character, and I'm gonna take this create asset file thingy, and I'm gonna put it on the SO holder. Now at this moment it's gonna have exactly the same location and the exact same name. I don't want that. I'm gonna say new resource holder. And as menu scriptable object, resource resources, and then resource holder. Why am I saying resources and then resource holder? Because now I know, okay, this is in the group of resources, everything that has to do with resources goes into this. So this is gonna hold my resource holder and my resource. Later down the line we're gonna have a map with items, tools, all of that good stuff. We can't forget to say in our SO, instead of mono behavior, that it's derived from scriptable object. And then we can start. So what are the things that we want our tree to have? First of all, I would like it to have a public string of resource holder name, or just holder name to make it a little bit shorter. The less you have to write, the less mistakes you're gonna write down. If you're gonna make a name that's 10,000 symbols long, then there's probably at least one mistake in it and you're gonna have a problem finding where it is. So we need to have a holder name, a public string holder description. I'm also gonna say a public string of holder action. Basically the holder action in this case is when it's assigned to a character, then you can have if you click on that character, you can have it say, I'm going to that tree and cut it down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So that's what I'm gonna store in the holder action. Below that, in my case, you can have it with hits, like when your pickaxe, or in this case your axe, hits the tree, it goes -1. I'm just gonna do it with a timed event. Basically, when the character comes to the tree, do a countdown, and when that countdown is 0, cut down the tree. When the countdown gets interrupted because the character dies, then keep the countdown at where the character dies. And the way that we do that is basically, I'm trying to adjust my mic for a second. The way that we do that is, in my case, public float and then destroy time, because we're gonna destroy this. For the people who want to have it with the hits, you say public int hit amount, or whatever you want to call it, but with an int it's easier. You can then say 10 hits and it's destroyed. Okay, so these are good to start with. Now the reason why I immediately opened both is because we're gonna take all of this and we're gonna put it back in here. Now that might seem very weird that we're gonna do this, but there's a reason for it. We're gonna take the stuff that we need from our object, and I just realized we don't need to do all of this. We can just say, to make it easier, because now we're getting double the information, we can literally just say public SO resource holder and then resource holder. And if we do that and we save and we go into Unity, it's gonna compile, but we can click on our tree and we got a spot for our resource holder, which we are gonna make now by right clicking, scriptable object, resources, resource holder, and this is just gonna be whatever tree I want it to be. Let's say apple tree. I was thinking of baby tree because that's the kind of stuff that my daughter is seeing on our cartoons right now, and we just drag that holder into the resource holder. Now of course in apple tree we have to say apple tree resource. This is the description. This is an apple tree, and the holder action is I'm cutting down the apple tree. So destroy time, for now I'm gonna put that at 10 seconds. So just 10. And that's it. We basically made our tree and it's ready to be harvested. Now there's more things that you can add to this, like in your resource holder. It's annoying when the planes are flying over. So what I was going to do is, we can say this is what every holder has. Every holder can be destroyed, but you might have some holders who have something specific. For example, an apple tree, you can get apples from it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna make a header that holds the apple. And I'm also, before I'm gonna do that, and before I forget, I'm gonna say public game object. And this is gonna be drop, well, resource, basically, because it's gonna drop a resource. This line basically implies when this destroy timer is done and we want to, then drop this resource. That should be a good start, but I do want to have for our apple tree at some point that I can make it harvestable, that apples show up, and for that I'm gonna need some more variables. Now those variables I'm gonna store under a header, and that header is called header, and then just between your floaty your brackets and quotation marks, you just name it whatever you want. In my case, harvest settings. So I know that when it's a tree, I can harvest something. Maybe for a rock, if you want to harvest something, it's gonna be mushrooms or moss or whatever. And in here I'm gonna say public float grow timer, or just grow time, as in how long does it need for me to get one apple, how far can it stack. So public int stack amount, how many apples can I have in my tree before the timer stops and before I can't have any more apples, basically. And a public what was I going to do? Ah yeah, public not float. Yes, float. Float harvest time. I'm sorry. I'm kinda confused. So basically what we did now is, and yes, I left a space, that's a personal thingy of mine. What we now did was, when we go into Unity, we can see we got a special settings that we can use for a tree or whatever, with a grow time, how long does it take to grow, how many can I have stored in my tree, and how long does it take to harvest. Basically, your character, if you want to have an animation that is like foraging or whatever, getting the stuff from the tree, then you say harvest. Then you can use the harvest time as a reference of, you're gonna do that for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you have all your apples. And this is not all, because we have our harvest time, but we don't have the object. Public game object harvest resource, because you can't have twice the same name in your script. Okay, now let's jump into Unity and let's see what changed to our apple tree. And you can see it, we got a header. Now I'm gonna say every 2 minutes there's a new apple coming with a maximum of 5 apples, and the harvest time will take, well, 10 seconds. I'm gonna change this to 30 at some point. And now we can see, oh, we got 2 resources here, but we can't do anything with it because we don't have anything. that's okay, we can always adjust that later. The good thing about having it like this with a stack amount, you can say in your script, if I have 3 apples, then show 3 apples around the tree. If I have 5 apples, show 5 apples at a random spot on that tree. A nice little visual representation, which we will be getting into later. So yeah, we got our tree, we got our character, but we're not done yet. So back into scripting, in our resource holder, we got a reference to everything we need, but we do have to get a public int for current harvest amount. Why do we need this? Well, when we harvest the tree, then we can say, okay, current harvest amount is going up. The current harvest amount is 3, okay, 3 apples go to the ground. If the current harvest amount is greater than 5, then the current harvest amount is 5 in our case. So that's all the stuff that we can do with that. There's gonna be more stuff that we need though. And which was it? Ah yeah, why did I do that? Public game object resource holder object. Now why am I doing this? I can also use transform, but I prefer using game object because we're gonna have to refer to stuff that's on this game object and all of that good stuff. So yeah, we're gonna have to get a void start, and in that void start we're gonna say resource holder object is equal to this dot game object, basically saying wherever we stored this script, that's gonna be our object. Now we can save all of this, we can go into Unity, and we can see it in action. I got my tree, the current harvest amount is 0, and if I press play, the resource holder item object turns into tree. And that's kinda it for this tutorial. We expanded a little bit on our SO because we added some more stuff into it, which we are gonna use. And what we now can do is we can say I want to have another tree, scriptable object, resource holder. I'm not gonna say a tree because we already got a tree. I'm gonna say medium rock, basically, or normal rock, maybe that's a better name. Normal rock. Holder name normal rock. Description: this rock has a normal size. Holder action: I'm going to cut that rock to pieces. There we go, and the destroy time will be 30 seconds. The resource that will drop will be, of course, stone, and it doesn't have anything to harvest, so harvest settings can just be 0. Stack amount 0, so it will never update, never do anything new, and we don't need to have this game object either. Yay! I hope you guys learned something, I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. If you guys don't, leave a comment in the description and I will try to explain. I'm really trying my best to explain every single thing that I'm doing. I know I mess up sometimes, I forget something sometimes, but it's all working, and that's the only thing that's the main thing that matters. The point is that you guys need to understand it as well. So if you have questions, let me know in the description and I will try to clarify what the problem is. I'll see you guys in the next video where we're gonna make our character, our little dude down here, this guy, yay, move towards the tree. And if we have time, we're gonna make a very basic camera controller as well. Basically you can move left to right. Okay, I'll see you guys in that one. Bye everyone.